It's September, so it's too late to start a garden, right? Never too late. At least that's my philosophy. In this video, I want to show you all the things that you can plant in September, and I'll show you plants I've got growing and some seeds I'm going to be sowing. So a lot of people, when they get around to September, they think, you know, the ship has sailed for the year, and I might as well wait till like February or March or April of next year to start a garden. And I have to tell you, fall really is the best time to start your garden if you haven't done so just yet. So in this video, I'll show you things you can plant, but even if you don't have your garden set up yet, I hope that these plants will inspire you that there's still so much to grow in your own space, whether in a cooler spot of the planet or a warmer spot of the planet, especially if you're in a warmer spot. So just like in previous videos where I've taught you things you can grow each month, you do need to do a little bit of research before you get started. So first you want to figure out for the month of September what your highs and lows are going to be for the month, and then define your season. I teach you how to define your seasons based on where you live in my book, Kitchen Garden Revival. So if you haven't bought it yet, you should check it out. At least get it from your library or something. So if you're in a cooler place, you may be hitting the cool season or maybe even the cold season if you're like way up north. If you're in a warmer spot, you might still be in hot season or warm season. For me, even in Chicago, I'm going to be in the warm season all of September. Usually I stay in the warm season until the very end of the month, with our high temperatures being between 65 to 85 degrees and really not getting close to frost yet. But I'm going to be looking forward to October and November when we will start to move into the cool season. So for me, I'll mostly be planting cool season plants, things that I want to get started and established in the garden that will grow through October and November, and maybe even into December and January if I have cover for them. But for my clients in Houston, my Rooted Garden clients and our Gardenary students who live in warmer spots like Florida and Texas and Arizona and California, you may stay in the warm season for the duration of the fall. So in that case, I'll be pointing out some plants that you can put into the garden in September to have a really fun fall harvest that doesn't look quite like the one I'm going to be having. So let's start in my bed. I'll show you some plants that are going to stay in the garden in September. So all of my kales are going to stay. I mean, how could you let go of all this kale, right? Clearly I'm using all of it. No, seriously, I may pull some of the plants out to make room for smaller lettuces, but kale is a green that can stay in the garden from like February all the way until a heavy snow. So it doesn't mind frost, and it truly loves cool season. So if you've never grown kale, going in September, October is a great time to grow it if you're entering the cool season. If you're entering warm season, you might want to hold off. You could put some seeds down. You'll just need to make sure they're really well watered. The Swiss chard will also stay in the garden. It's looking a little sad right now. I just harvested a ton of it yesterday, but this will push through. It doesn't mind frost and it doesn't mind cooler weather. So Swiss chard is a fantastic time. Eric just got hit with grasses from the pollinator garden. Swiss chard is a fantastic plant to grow in September, and it can push through some warmer seasons. So even if you're in a warmer climate, Swiss chard is a great option. And speaking of Swiss chard, I want to mention two other plants in that family. So I have beets here and spinach. So beets and spinach, they prefer a little bit cooler weather than Swiss chard can tolerate, but they're in the same family, the Amaranth family. So I wanted to show you a beet seed. Beets are definitely going to grow best by seed, and I found that spinach grows best by seed too. You can definitely start spinach indoors, but I found spinach lasts longer and bolts slower if it started directly by seed. So these two things, beets and spinach, will definitely be planted if you're heading toward the cool season. They're fantastic to plant in the garden in September from seed. So all those plants in the Amaranth family, we've got Swiss chard, spinach, and beets. They're great to go in right now. Speaking of the kale, I have several kinds of kale in my garden. I've got dinosaur kale in my middle beds, and I've got a blue Scotch curled kale in the back two beds. But kale is in the family, the Brassica family, and another plant that's fantastic to grow in the Brassica family pretty much any month is arugula. So arugula does not mind cooler weather. In fact, it really likes it, but it also can tolerate some hotter weather too. In Houston, for our Rooted Garden clients, we grow this almost year round. Arugula is great to put by seed into the garden in September. Also in the Brassica family, and a favorite for fall, are radishes. So I have French breakfast radish right here, and I have cherry bell. This is from Southern Exposure. And then this one is like, I think it's called Easter egg blend or something like that. Yeah, Easter egg blend. Aren't they pretty? So all of these can go into the garden by seed in September if you're entering the cool season. You can see it sowed during the cool periods of spring and fall. Pretty fun, right? So if you're entering the warm, if you're going to be entering a warm season, you might want to put these in a little bit of shade and keep them really well watered. I said that weird, watered. But they can make it. They're going to be a little bit harder if you're in pretty warm weather, like high 80s. But if you're dropping down to 70s and 60s, they're going to love it. All right, so those are the main plants I'll be keeping. Things that will probably not stay will be my basil, my peppers, my eggplant, and my tomatoes. Actually, they will all stay in September, but I won't be planting them. But if you're watching from a warmer climate, like in Texas or Florida, you may still have time to plant some cherry tomatoes, to plant some like shishito peppers. I don't think I would do eggplant this late, but some shishito peppers or cherry tomatoes. If you're going through the warm season in September, those can do great in your garden throughout the fall. For me, these will be finishing up this month and then coming out probably October, mid-October from the garden. All right, let's continue. Let's say for myself, if I'm in the cool season, I want to have something to substitute on this trellis. So last year what I did in September, I cleared these vines from the trellis and I put peas in its place. So if you're entering the cool season, let me show you a couple of peas of bean types you could grow on the trellis. I love sugar snap peas. These do great in the fall. You do need to get them in pretty early, but they're great for September. And then Oregon giant peas. This is from Southern Exposure. This is also a great fall pea to grow. I guess they're still called peas. Snow peas, yeah. So think of it, they're called snow peas, so they're gonna be all right in September. You know what I'm saying? Don't put these in the ground if you're in a warm season yet, because these, like for our clients in Houston and our gardenary students in warm places, they wouldn't want to plant these till around December. But if you are in a warmer place, you might want to try these runner beans or just a typical pole bean. Runner beans generally like milder weather, so I could actually probably put these in my garden right now in September. And then if you're in a warmer spot, wait till it drops a little bit. They love a little bit milder climate, but just even a typical pole bean would do great on a trellis as well, or a bush bean. Okay, let's keep going back in the garden and see what else we can grow in September. You guys know that chives are one of my mainstays. They are a great thing to put into the garden in the fall. So I usually put chives on the edges of my beds here and back here. These just kind of stay, but if you're just now planting a garden, putting some chives in the garden is a really great idea. And they're gonna do great even if you're in a warm season or a cool season. Here on the corners of the bed, I have parsley, and parsley loves the cool season too. Parsley is in the carrot family, and a lot of people try to grow parsley in the heat of summer and don't have success, but you will have success with parsley in the fall. And that's a plant you could put in if you're entering the cool season. Warm season friends for September, you could put some in, just make sure maybe it's in some shade, kind of like I have it here on the corner, and keep it well watered. Speaking of the carrot family, the parsley family, now is also a fantastic time, oops, I almost dropped my seeds, to plant cilantro. So if you got fooled at the hardware store when they were selling cilantro in the middle of summer, now is the time of your redemption. Cilantro grows really well in the cool seasons, so spring and fall. So if your temperatures are going to start coming down, now is a great time to get cilantro started. So I'm going to be planting a ton of cilantro in September because I love it. I love making sauces and salsas and all kinds of yummy stuff. and cilantro really doesn't like the heat of summer. So September is a great time. Next up we have carrots. So carrots, I just harvested my summer carrots yesterday. So these are carrots I had growing in this bed actually, and now I'm going to replant them and grow them again from September to November. So carrots are going to need a minimum of say 65, 75, maybe 90 days for me. They usually take 90 to 100 days. So right now is a great time to put them in. If you're still hot, if you're in a warmer climate, you want to wait till the end of September, beginning of October to plant your carrots. But that's all in the carrot family. You've got cilantro, parsley. You can also grow dill and carrots in September. Who knew? All right, let's see what else we have. My favorite thing, I'm sure you're not surprised, that I want to close up with is lettuce. Lettuce, grow some lettuce. Lettuce also loves cooler weather. So if you are about to enter cooler temperatures, September is a fantastic time to start your lettuce plants. In fact, I have some lettuce seeds I just planted last week, and they're already sprouting in the back of my garden space. I'm super excited about it. So if you're entering the cool season throughout September, October, November, now's a great time to plant these lettuces. You'll be harvesting them by the middle of October. And if you're still in a warm climate and you're pretty hot in September, like high 90s, 80s, high 80s, then you could wait until the end of the month, beginning of October, to plant your lettuces. Now let's take a look at anything else that's going to stay in the garden for the month of September. My peppers will continue to produce, so if I want to let them keep going, I can absolutely do that. If I think, okay, I really want these peppers to finish up, I can let them keep growing, or I can pull these out and put in some beets, some lettuces, some spinach in their place. The kales will stay as long as I want them to. They will be here until this garden is covered with snow, and even they'll stay after a little bit of snow. It will take a pretty heavy snow, believe it or not, for these kales to come out of the garden. Back here, same kind of thing. My basil will stay and keep pushing through September, but it will be done as soon as we get any kind of frost. And these pepper plants, they'll make it until there's frost, but then they will be done as soon as the first frost hits. Back here, same thing. I have a ground cherry plant, and this ground cherry plant will stay and produce. It's looking kind of sad right now, but it'll keep producing until the end of the month. The frost comes. It's in the same family as tomatoes and peppers, but it'll keep producing all through September, even here in the Chicago area. And then the same for my sun gold tomatoes. But I'll have kale and lettuce, beets and carrots, parsley, and did I say lettuce? I'll have lettuce all through the month of September. So if you are not convinced, I mean, I think I could keep going with this video. You guys want to keep going? There's obviously a lot to plant in September, even in a colder climate like I live in Chicago. There's even more to plant when you're in a warmer space like Houston, Texas. So whether you're down south or up north, September is not the month to give up on the garden. September is the month to dig in. So I hope this video inspires you to go for it. This month we are welcoming new students into our Kitchen Garden Academy. It is the full course that shows you how to build raised beds, set up your space as pretty as this one, and plant it intensively every single season of the year. So if you'd like to learn more about Kitchen Garden Academy, you can do so at the bottom of this video. But whether you sign up for the Academy or just stayed and hung out with me here in my garden in September, I hope you won't give up on your garden just yet. You'll get out there, plant a lot, and enjoy the month for all that it offers. Thanks so much for watching and being part of Gardenary. I'll see you next time.